Hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Sahij?
I'm good.
Great. How's your day been?
Pretty good.
Ah, excellent.
How's your day?
Uh, it's been a whole day of meetings.
Ah.
So just jumping from meeting to meeting today, but and actually I was just on the same meeting with Ivan, so he might be a couple minutes late, so
Okay.
we'll see. But yeah, the meeting just ended. I thought it was going to run a little late, but it actually ended on time, so that's great.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a good week for you though?
Yeah, it's been a good week. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome to hear. This is my first time joining the GraphQL.js working group call.
Oh,
Yeah, I've
nice.
joined. I go to the other
Other
working
one?
group call. Yeah, every once in a while for sure, but definitely interested in in the future of GraphQL.js for sure. Yeah, and I know I've talked to Ivan a fair bit about the kind of review team plan and stuff. So
Okay.
definitely want to hear more about that. But you've been helping out a lot, haven't you, with GraphQL.js?
Yeah, I
That's
started
awesome.
the Typescript migration last year. This
That's
time.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's an important project for sure, and it's super important for Apollo. Like we use it quite heavily, and I think that it's interesting to think about. Like we have a bunch of like utilities and helpers and all sorts of stuff that we have in other projects that we're using
Oh, okay.
inside. And like since Ivan joined us, he's noticed like, hey, like why aren't these part of GraphQL.js? And the answer is they should be totally. So it'd be really neat if we can find ways to get a lot of that stuff kind of moved into GraphQL.js at some point
Okay.
to make it more open to everybody in the community. But yeah, I know he's thinking a lot about that anyways, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we have many guild libraries.
Yeah, exactly. I know that too, for sure. Like there's so much great stuff out there that could just be merged back into GraphQL.js for sure. So
Yep.
hi, Ivan. Hi, Yuri. Hello, hello.
Hi, what's up?
How's it going?
Hi.
Good. I'm walking outside, so I'll try to mute myself as much as possible.
Get some fresh air. That's a good plan. I should do the same thing actually.
Yeah, it caught me off guard a bit.
Yeah. How are you, Ivan?
Yeah, good. Did the last few last minute things. So I'm looking, searching for agenda right now. So I think. Oh, yeah, it's the right one. Yes. Well, it actually says September. Yeah, I think.
Yep. That's the right one.
One the thing we need to change like titles September 2021.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
It's okay.
no
The
issue.
file name's right. That's the
Yeah,
important one.
yeah, and we will have good history. So let's quickly go through agenda. So since we recorded, and anyone who want to join this call in the future, and on this call, we need to sign membership agreement and participation guide and code of conduct. It can be done as individual, or you don't need to involve like lawyers in your company if you don't want to. So if you want to join, just sign them. And the next thing, we should introduce ourselves, and I will start from myself and we will go in the order in the agenda. So hi, my name is Ivan, and I'm one of the maintainers of GraphQL.js.
Hi, I'm Sahaj, and I also help maintain GraphQL.js.
Great. Hi, I'm Hugh. I work at Apollo on various open source projects currently.
Hi, I'm Yakov, and I'm an individual contributor.
Yes, so let's go through. I don't think like we Actually, yes, Sahaj added about action item. So like next point in agenda is action items. And from the last meeting, we have like a new one about LTC. But since I think idea was to brainstorm something, but since we have like bunch of discussion on two main topics, like 16.0 release and also on reviewing teams. So I don't think any actual discussion about LTC happened. I think we need to do this in future. One thing I want to know, it's like it should be based on volunteers. So like I suggest to make it based on volunteers. If by the way, like I forget to send the link to issues, so we're on the same page. We don't have a lot of agenda items, so yeah. I think like to increase responsibility, we also need to increase volunteering. So if people want to support something for a long time, somebody need to volunteer to do like backports and be maintainer of certain release line. Yeah, but I think if we will still have a time, we can include it in agenda and also discuss it. Other agenda items are like we have a backlog, and sometimes at some point we need to go through them. But I think like right now we have these two main topics, as I said, 16.0.0 and reviewers. Anyone else have any updates on action items before we jump into discussing these topics? And by the way, thanks Sahaj for actually opening issue about OTC, because it's easy to forget, especially since we don't do notes. Yeah, and with like determine volunteers for note taking, since everything is recorded and usually it's only like 3 or 4 or 5 people tops. We don't do notes, but it's something that maybe we need to start doing in the future. If someone volunteers, we can start doing it at any point. But yeah, right now I think everybody happy with YouTube videos. So release status. Yeah, I think I will give a quick update and when we discuss the missing issues. So for a blocked it for a long time, I think like at least like a couple of weeks, due to error. Like basically I tried to find migration path from for Power Server from version 15 to version 16. And it's not like a Power Server specific issue. It just I discovered it on a Power Server. We basically converted a GraphQL error from being, we basically made it a class and started in properties into it. And it's like part of Typescript migration. Idea was not to backport, not to like convert workarounds from flow times. So we switched everything from ES5 to ES6 classes, and it's caused the issue on a Power Server. I finally figured out how to do that, how to support both versions and have like extension on the class, so it's unblocked. And I think like since last week, I'm like, okay, cut and release. We're just figuring like final stuff. Since even though like we in the release phase for a long time. Some of the projects didn't try release candidates, and yeah, so it was a couple of issues. I don't want to go to technical details, but it was a couple of issues. Some of them before RC phase, and at least one major one added into RC phase with TypeScript. And another thing, we restricted TypeScript to minimal version 4.1. So yeah, but basically, like, long story short, right now everything ready to cut. There is no like blockers. We still have, I think, like today, envelope, GraphQL envelope converted to 16, added support for 16, CodeGen added support for 16. I figured out a path for Apollo server to convert. I didn't try it on Federation and other things yet, but I think like we had large enough code bases migrated, so we kind of in a safe spot.
Yeah, should be fine.
Yeah, because we cannot wait for every single project. So one thing we have an issue for Sakej actually linked it into agenda, but I still posted here. It's feedback on RC1, but basically it turned out to be feedback on the whole release line. I think everything addressed, except one comment about graphical. And with graphical situation, a little bit tricky because graphical maintainer switched to stream and defer branch, even though it's experimental. He switched to use it on main. So because of that, today Rob did a great job of rebasing his branch on top of last RC. And today I cut release, and it's enable us to test on graphical. From what I saw, looking at the log, everything is safe. There is like errors due to missing stream and defer, but everything else is passing. If we want to be like super sure, we can wait for like because there is a PR to graphical to enable version 16 support. If we want to be super sure, like we don't break anything, we can wait until it's using stream and defer release, RC release for stream and defer. If not, we can basically cut it right now. It's like 10-minute procedure.
Yeah, I think we can cut a release because I mean graphical is dependent on an experimental branch anyways, which is a very like a risky thing to do. I don't know why they decided that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, surprising. I would never guess
because like we pulled the release for a long time, so we need to like publish something. If there are issues, we can just publish one more thing. That's not even a big deal, I think.
Okay, especially since we don't know like of any problems with graphical. I think Ricky summarized, opened like he have on top of his issue, he have like checkboxes. I can send like, so we're on the same page. I can send. He marked it as a chore, but it's involved like some changes. So I think he summarized like problems in first command with tick boxes, and first one is unrelated. I think it's related to some code mirror config he included in the same PR. So yeah, if everybody okay, I will just cut release after this call. Yeah. Anybody aware of any major issue, anything?
I think at Guild we checked all the libraries and everything worked fine. So
okay. Yeah, and by the way, it's like a good achievement since like we migrated from Flow to TypeScript. That's why it's like one of the reasons it requires some preparation work. I think what I saw is usually take like a couple hundred lines to migrate big libraries. And most of the changes is due to we switching from any to unknown on many types. So I think it's good achievement for like migrating the entire code base. Plus we clean up a bunch of like stuff, legacy stuff. Yeah, so let's, after this call, I will cut release. One thing, as a note, one thing we need to learn is like previous idea of having RC stuff is kind of not working. Since like what we learn is one couple months is not enough as RC process. We either need to like coordinate better, or we need to figure out some way to test popular libraries.
I think our RC process is slow. Like we cut a RC after like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like there are issues reported, and then we wait for too long to cut or fix or something.
Okay. So yeah, but in graphical cases,
like for graphical case, if we think about it, I commented on August 26th in that issue that we need experimental difference stream. It was never, and then we publish a RC today. So
okay.
I can't test in a day, right? Like in few hours.
Because
so
I saw
like automate or do something so we can actually get RCs faster.
Yeah, we discussed it as part of like a review experiment. We need to do automatic releases anyway. One question how to do it for branches, but yeah, I think we can figure out automatic releases. But still, I think we can think about another project is having like a repository to run integration tests on popular projects.
So on Envelope, we run CI on the latest release of GraphQL.js. We can have it so we can run RCs on Envelope in our CI. Because yesterday I was working on a pull request and it started to fail. Then I found the Apollo server error that you fixed this morning. So we can have it so we can also run RC branches on that, if that's something, that would help.
Yeah, I think yes. Ideally, like all the popular libraries, not only Envelope.
We can have like a couple guild projects do this because there's a whole pipeline set up for it. We just need to enable it on other projects. So
okay, cool. It's definitely, especially like one thing. It's kind of problematic. Yesterday, I broke a Apollo server with 15 release, and like you cannot do you can do, but it's strange to do RC releases on stable lines. So I still think it makes sense to have like some way to test it from either GraphQL.js PR or run it manually.
So we could publish an alpha release on each GraphQL.js pull request.
Oh,
if that's something useful. And then
yeah.
based on that alpha release, we could technically have other projects pull an alpha and run through that alpha CI. But then we kind of like, we need to limit how we do this alpha process then, because it could slow you down by a day or half a day on each pull request you open.
Mhm.
Yeah. One thing I noticed is we probably go too far into technical discussion of this thing. It just like fresh in my mind. That's why I went a bit technical. Any beyond like me cutting release after this call, anything we want to discuss in this topic? I think it's basically we can switch to another topic. And second topic is reviewer team. And I think like everybody on the call is familiar with the topic. If anybody else watching YouTube recording, we discussed it extensively on the last call. So there is like recording of it, of the entire discussion and brainstorm. To summarize it, the idea is that key problem we have is like we don't have not a lot of active contributors. There is like people that do like periodical pairs, but not many of them. And a reason is like some pairs is not getting response or like review in a timely manner. And so like for some of them, it's like explainable by a spec process, a review process, since it don't make sense to review PR deeply until it's like stage 2. But for non-spec release, and we have like, I think like majority of them. Right now there is like 50 pairs. I did the stats, like 5 of them is mine, and another like 10 something is spec proposal, but like 30 pairs is goes into category of like contributors, and they're not much. Some of them like code. So yeah, it's like, and some of them like not that hard, just like feedback is needed. And we discuss like a way to scale the process and to enable like faster feedback and faster like loop. So as part of this process, I'm not sure if everyone can see. If not, I will like make a screenshot. We basically created a team, discuss like creating a team, and from last month I actually created this team on GitHub, GraphQL.js reviewers. So I think it's like, I need to check if it's public or not, because it should be public, basically. And idea was, as we discussed it, either people that I trust, with idea that if we are stuck, a person can like ping this team, or in future we can have like some automation, but it should be like triggered not for not for like normal PR flows, not to not overburden the reviewers, but only if like PR is stuck. So I think like given it like a day or two to have a normal flow, and if it's stuck, yeah, and like anyone from this team can do review at any point they want. Sahej and Yakov, you both of this team, and we discussed like rights, and since not everyone actually wants to have write permission on a repo, I put it as triage, and right now it's have like 5 people, including me. I think we can scale it up. If right now I think 5 is a good number. If it not works, we can scale it up. And another point we discussed is to have a time limit, because having no progress is like worse than. So basically, like if 2 people reviews and approve, and sometimes pass and nobody objects, it's get automatically matched. So yeah, one thing, as we agreed, it's experiment, and its main purpose to facilitate new contributors, not to demotivate new contributors with long response time. So yeah, it's basically an overview on what is done. And yeah, by the way, like I can name people. It's like Martin from Apollo. He used GraphQL.js extensively, like for Apollo Federation and other projects. And he also have like pretty interesting background. He like use it in Apollo iOS to execute inside like Apple platform. So yeah, I'm like totally trust him with code quality. He's familiar with API, and he like have usage scenarios in mind. Plus, I cannot speak from Apollo side myself on what's breaking, what's not breaking, and what's because I just joined and I have like limited idea of most of the Apollo projects. Christopher, he is maintainer of GraphQL Python. He's direct port of Python library of GraphQL.js to Python, and he have like I think he's the 3rd most active contributor at the moment. He contributed a bunch of fixes, and he like know entire code base because he rewrote Python. Yakov also contributed a lot, and like he have like pretty interesting scenario with schema stitching and deep knowledge of how executor works. And Sahej, like who is converted the entire project to TypeScript. So you also know like a structure and API. So I think is a good starting set. That's basically it. Any questions?
Just so you know, Ivan, it is not public, the team.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to make it public. One thing, I don't think anybody objects making it public, right? Yeah,
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, so I will make it. I need to figure out how to make it public through GitHub. Yeah.
So how does the release work with this team? So
yeah, idea was so in a additional discussion we had like I think it was either discussed on a call or not, or we discussed it afterwards. I think it should be automatic release.
okay.
Yeah, and so right now, I think we can do like that. Until automatic release is done, I can, let's say, set timeout. If it's not done, it's mean like we should have at least 2 people. So Sahaj, I can add you on NPM package, and it can be done manually. If we can figure out in reasonable time, if we can figure out how to make automatic, let's make it automatic. Because like with current issues of malware in NPM, I actually want to everything to go automatic, as automatic as possible. If not,
it should be possible, I think. We publish many packages with NPM.
One thing it's like stuff like stream defer if we have like some branches. Yeah, but we can try. So automate as much as possible. And another thing, so we discussed how to make it transparent, the entire process for review teams. I think since we agreed to make it experiment, I suggest like we either start I start like issue discussion, whatever work best. I think issues have better discoverability, and we can coordinate there and discuss stuff there. So, and also add issue PR template. So PR template should say basically, if you feel like your PR is stuck, please ping like with group of people, an example of a message you can write. And later, one thing I spoke with like reviewer team, and everybody have like a day job and stuff, so we should not ping them if there is a normal flow. So, for example, I open a PR and it's get matched in like a day. Like people should not be pinged to. It's better like if they help with reviewing stuff from third party, from new contributors, and help them to figure out how to contribute. So that's my main like point of not like why code owners and other stuff is not working, because we don't want every PR go through this procedure. Any other feedback or suggestion on how to proceed beyond like opening issue and setting up PR template? And also in an issue as discussed, I will write like short procedure so people feel safe, even if like something happens with me, like because bus factor is real right now. Technically, like I think a bunch of people have access to GraphQL.js, like 50 people have rights to merge stuff, and like 6 or 7 people have like rights to release NPM. But for last couple of years, I did like most of the merges, and I did like almost all releases on NPM. So even though like people technically have like rights to do that, they need to have like algorithm and know it's like stuff that they can do.
Mhm.
Yeah. So saying like if nobody objects for 2 weeks, they can match PR, and there is like 2 reviews. Since as we discussed, like not everyone wants write access. I think like Sahaj, you have write access, or anybody else having write access can basically follow the algorithm and not be like personally responsible for decision. So yeah.
So will you have a rule set that if we have 2 approvers, anyone can merge?
Yeah. And one thing I still feel like, and we discussed it like with you in the chat and Uri, like issue right now is PR stuck like for a really long time. So I think let's move in the steps. So making it like 2 weeks, because you know, like I'm not sure how this like system works and what will end up. So idea is that as Uri said a bunch of times, basically like I cannot like scale myself to like review all the stuff. So ideally, other people like from review teams and other people will comment on the issue and suggest like how to improve it. But not everyone have like a full context of a project. So until like we have other people build it, and I think having like 2 weeks is reasonable, since it basically means you can go to vacation or other stuff. Yeah, it's like long, but it's way shorter than that we have right now.
I mean, there are 5 people, so like we just need 2 people to vote yes for something to get merged. So isn't a week a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah,
2 weeks is pushing it too much, I think, because we again end up in the same kind of problem.
Yeah, so my objection with that is since we will do automatic release, one thing. Without automatic release, it's not working. It will basically mean like person cutting release need to review like stuff because he's responsible for release. I think, but with automatic release, we actually releasing stuff. I think since we reference implementation, we should adhere to a spec. So some of the issue actually require you to open a spec and closely match like what's written there and see if it's like match. Like I'm basically not sure like we can have like current quality bar if so
like the issue is if we like, I think we talked about the quality bar and like deliverability of the project.
Yeah.
So like if we want very high quality, then we are again on the bottleneck that you can't review every single pull request, right? So like we have to give something, like we have to bring something up or down, because like not everyone has the same taste or like the same quality bar as you. So over time, people will learn how to get the same quality, but like, because like if we think about 16xx, like this, like the TypeScript migration started today, like a year ago today. So like if we think about like 1 year is a long time, and the progress started even before I started working here. So like So it's more than a year that we are stuck on one release and we are still debating if we should cut a release or not, right? So
yeah. Yeah.
It slows many things down. And like, even if we look at our pull request, people open pull request for like a very simple thing, like a doc change, and you're just sitting there for months. Like,
yeah, like thing with doc changes, like it's not changing the docs. So if we merge stuff, it's like it's not updating GraphQL.org docs.
that is
So,
true.
Yeah, like so merging it basically mean like
I mean, doc is just an example. Like we even had like someone open a pull request to convert just like strings to enums, because like we were using operation mutation and subscription as a string, and then someone just opened it to convert like operation enum, right?
Yeah,
and that
but
took like 3 months to merge. Like,
yeah,
because like if we take 3 weeks, even 2 weeks, right? Like no one replies you for 2 weeks. We are not like a contributor won't like to contribute to you anymore. Like it's kind of like no one's replying. How do you expect someone to just do this for you, right?
So this review process should ideally work like that. So PRs that gets naturally merged in like day or two.
Yeah.
They not bother like reviewers, so they go as reviewed.
So who
If
merges
PR,
them is the question then. Like how do we label a pull request that has to go to a reviewer team, or like it can just go in?
Yeah. So idea was that a person
do you have a criteria for this?
Yeah. So we can write it. So idea was to write if it's more than 48 hours. So as a member of the review team, you can review any PR you want, but if it's like more than 48 hours, either like after ping like reviewer team, or it can be like you, me, any other people, or a bot. If we write a bot that ping reviewer team and say like, here's a PR that is not super fast. Please review it. Are you okay with this part?
So I open a pull request and let's say no one says anything for 2 days, and the third day I'll get a bot just pinging reviewers.
Okay. Ideally, it would be a bot. If we cannot come up with a bot, it can be like me or you or PR after just writing ping reviewers.
Okay.
So I'm okay with any like solution to that. So at that point, like even before that, the reviewers can ping if they choose to subscribe to repo and open every PR. Like it's just additional message to them. It's like your review is encouraged, and this PR is like critical for you to review. So people start reviewing, and imagine like it's super ideal PR, nothing better. Like 2-3 people press approve. It's like it's like some of these changes some of like kind of obvious changes is not obvious. Like I'm worried on opposite side of spectrum. For example, like in Express GraphQL, person open an issue to support operation name null. Empty string is operation name, and it's against the spec. And like people approved it, and nobody actually like reviewed the spec. I honestly like choose the people I trust and the most familiar with code base. But I still feel like going through, as you said, like problems was a month. So going through like months or years to 2 weeks, I think it's a reasonable first step. It's a reasonable first jump. If system works in like 2 weeks, and if we feel like everything going okay, we can relax it further. So it's not a question we should freeze it 2 weeks and make a rules. As we said, it's experiment, so we're not sure about will it solve our core issue or not. So my suggestion is like I'm as we discussed, like it's about finding a compromise, and I think 2 weeks is a compromise. Maybe it's not ideal, but it's a compromise, and we'll see if a bottleneck will be 2 weeks, we can make it discuss and make it smaller. If it will work normal, it's also a good solution.
So
Okay.
Ivan, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
Yeah, are you going to write this all up in an issue and post it publicly, Ivan?
Yeah,
I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the part I'm still a little unclear of is if 2 people on the review team approve a PR, so you have 2 thumbs up, where does the 2 weeks come in? It just means that you still have to wait up to 2 weeks before that could actually make it into a release? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's like to give me another reviewer's time to cross-check it. Like, yeah, it's not what most projects do. Most projects actually do it like just like 2 people approve and that's all.
Right.
But
it's a stepping stone, right?
Yeah,
okay.
It's a stepping stone, and since people actually like look into main, that's why, as I said before, I'm like totally for automatic releases, because it's make sense. Like if you merge something in a spec in a main, you make it official. Since it's a reference implementation, people actually use it in discussion in like GraphQL PHP and GraphQL Java and other projects. The fact that we release it like half a year later on NPM, or like a month later or a week later, it's like
doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter that much in that context and context of reference implementation. So plus it's like give additional like pressure on releaser to actually re-review the entire PRs, because it's his responsibility to like cut release. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it's try this process out and then adjust in the future if this is working well. So yeah, I get it.
Anything like else we need so what I wanted to summarize it before this call, but since we have like with tight release schedule, I didn't end up. But what I had in mind is that process of like not overburdening reviewers with fast tracking PRs, but asking them to review stuff that is open for at least a couple of days. And when a couple of people reviewed, 2 people reviewed, it's still a time for others to provide feedback. And also, as a second point, it gives opportunity. It's remove a problem where you have a couple of people like very active reviewing, because they have like more free time, or they have like it's part of the like job to do that. So it makes like other reviewers less relevant and the experience less relevant. I think in a big project like that, we actually need not any one person, including me, have the whole context needed. So it makes sense to wait. Sorry, like I need to, my phone is ringing for 1 second. I'll mute myself. Yeah, I'm back. So any feedback, idea, or suggestion for additional item we need to do for that particular experiment?
Do you, is the idea is this will be an experiment. So it would be great to have this documented, maybe outside of an issue, like maybe even in the README or somewhere in the root of the project, so everybody knows what the review process looks like. But I don't know if you want to do that yet, if this is just an experiment, but ultimately it would be awesome to have that very clear and open somewhere.
Yeah, one thing I'm not feel safe is to decide like for a future for project, especially since idea is to actually onboard more active contributors and they becoming like core contributors. Mm-hmm. So one thing, it's like really hard to change the rules once they made permanent. Mm-hmm. It's like people need to feel like empowered to change rules. So I'm like, when we discussed ownership of GraphQL projects with Lee and GraphQL Foundation and technical on a working group, when people ask a question, will technical steering committee will decide for everything? I think it was joint position that core team should make a decision. And if it cannot reach a decision, it's like technical steering committee. So, but I don't want to make a decision now, permanent decision now, because we don't have a core team. So it's like making decision before we actually have people who need to follow it. So I don't know like who will be like a future core team. Is it like people from a company is interested using GraphQL, or it's like individual contributors, or mix of both? So I think like different rules will work for different situations. So I don't want to make it permanent, especially since we did. Ideally, it's reviewers. We don't have reviewers. Ideally, like we have active contributors having a background in GraphQL.js and onboarding more contributors. Maybe even it's like a pairing coding session, or what I learned with Sahej, it's like way more efficient, especially for big features or big refactorings, is to have pairing sessions. Mm-hmm. So ideally, it's done like that. Ideally, it's more like done more like by active contributors, not by like reviewers team. I think reviewers team is just transitional idea how to bootstrap a process, because it's hard to, we don't have a core team, so we cannot grow it without having it. And idea that reviewers kind of substitute in at least like providing review and feedback for for issues.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is that it's okay if this is experimental and you don't necessarily want to document it as an official part of the repo, but getting this out there could actually entice more contributors to come and participate.
Yeah.
If they know that PRs are going to get merged in at least more frequently than they are now, that could entice people to contribute more. So we'll just want to make sure wherever you document this process, like make it very public.
Yeah, I will pin it. I will pin it on. We have like a good pinning is good solution. I can like add a link in contributors MD and README. One thing, as I said, I don't feel empowered to like make a rule and add it into contributor stuff, but a link to it is.
It's good. Yeah. Okay.
It's good. Plus, actual idea is to have it in every issued PR template. So
Nice.
when a person open PR template, he actually see this experiment running. He's aware. He know why these people providing feedback, and he know like if he needs something additional feedback, he can tag them, because we cannot automate everything. If a person make substantial changes to PRs, maybe it makes sense to ping everybody one more time and ask them to re-review. So I'm actually want to empower PR after to directly tag this group of people and communicate with them.
Makes sense.
So this only applies to GraphQL.js, correct?
Yeah, as we discussed in the scope, like one thing I totally don't want to do is decide for other projects, like swap, like data loader. It's like most of the changes done by Lee. There is no like progress there. I don't know its current status. Express GraphQL.
I'm interested in Express GraphQL or like Relay GraphQL or Swappy GraphQL, because they're more related to this working group than like.
Yeah, for a way, plan is, I think we don't have like too much PRs back then. All the PRs cleaned up, an idea to merge it. And I want to write the same merge into GraphQL.js because it's simpler to maintain one repo. For data loader, I want to raise this question, same as Swappy. I think Swappy can be part of a repo. So but at the same time, I'm like being realistic. Right now, as we discussed, it's a compromise and stuff that I feel safe and empowered to do. I don't want to make entire decision for like projects, all the projects. And second thing
is the life of Express GraphQL and other projects, is that something we discuss in a working group then with the TSC on it?
Yeah, we can discuss it and see what
like
solution.
if we just read if I just go through the GraphQL.js working group README, it technically says the JavaScript ecosystem, the toolings and libraries in the JavaScript ecosystem, which would mean these all fall under the GraphQL, this working groups. Like,
Yes, we discussed. It's two questions. First, I don't know if its experiment will work out. As we discussed, it's experiment, and I'm like for running experiment on a smaller scale. GraphQL.js is the most active repo. Even like in ideal circumstances, GraphQL.js is the most used one. I think like Express GraphQL is like graphical, but graphical is like totally different story. Since it's like another working group, another like process, but from what file under this repo. It's like second biggest is Express GraphQL. I think we need to solve this problem. I'm just like for starting from a bigger problem and seeing what we can do, and then apply the same process into Express GraphQL. If we see like it work out and reviewers are interested in reviewing stuff on Express GraphQL, we can apply the same. We can like either if they're interested, we can just like start this process there, or basically like from my side, it's boiled down to two questions. First, it's experiment, and I want to make scope limited and most impactful. The most impact is GraphQL.js. And second thing, I'm not feel safe to like to make decision for a bunch of repos. Basically, and some of them like I don't know like who maintains. Like on Express GraphQL, some of the recent changes was done by Ricky. Like
So this is like an organizational issue in the foundation, not something we can fix.
Yeah. Basically, at least in GraphQL.js, like I have time to dedicate it to you active contributors and people volunteering to do reviews. As we discussed, I think, it's an organizational issue, basically. And let's start, maybe like as a two parallel process, if you want to start a discussion what to do globally. But it needs to be done not on this call. Like 5 people on a call should not decide for like bunch of repos. It should be done either in context of working group and technical steering committee, or both. Like probably both.
Okay, let's roll with this GraphQL.js change and then see how it works out.
Yeah. If it works out really well, who knows? Then it just might be a no-brainer to say, hey, let's expand it to the other stuff. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because one of what happened with graphical, it's like was the same global attempt to solve issue, and in some sense, like graphical situation is better, some worse, but idea that I think like in my experience, we need to start from small and expand. At least what my personal opinion is. Focus it, not actually small. I think like GraphQL.js is the most impactful project. Yes. Just like we focus in our effort on it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Anything else anyone want to discuss as part of this topic?
I think once you're...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So when is the experiment officially starts?
Yeah, so idea is I cut and release. I actually wanted to write with like text before that, but yeah, release stuff. So I write issue in like reasonable time. I think like right 1 week from now is enough to one thing I want to discuss it like with people in reviewers team, because I actually did it a little bit backwards. I first ask people to join without like written description. I will probably write some draft and ask people individually if they're okay with what's said there, and if they have like any feedback. So, and 1 week is totally enough for it, and I added like some buffer space. One thing I will write in this document, and it will be clear, like for people are encouraged to go to old PRs and review them, but it's not like they like main responsibility too, because right now we have some like PRs and I will try to clean them up, so not to overburn, like people will not ping them on every PR we currently have. They're encouraged to do that, but it's not that something they're obligated to do, basically. And another thing, it's like spec RFCs. I will explicitly say it's not like until some point spec RFCs are mainly discussed in a working group. So with that two exclusions, I think in a week is a reasonable time to start it, especially since we cut release. As for automatic, some of like points, automatic releases and stuff, it can take some time of having like a bot. If somebody volunteers to do that, it's great. If not, it can be done. It can be done later. As part of instruction, I can, if you say HOK, I can write that if two reviewers approved, like you or anybody with like commit rights are safe to, after algorithms fulfill, are safe to click merge button. So I don't think there is like any big blockers. We don't need to wait for any particular thing to start with experiment, except like me writing it and asking people on reviewers team, are they okay with what's written?
I mean, two of us are here, me and Yakov, so.
Yeah, but I don't want to make it from a word, you know, like it should be something written. Otherwise, it's basically, yeah, we discussed the basic rules. So basic rules are like that. You encourage to review any past, present, future PRs, anything you see. If like 48 hours pass and PR is not much, anyone can encourage to ping reviewers. It can be PR after, it can be like anyone, or it can be a bot in the future. If two reviewers provide the review and press approve, it basically means countdown starts, and in 2 weeks PR get like merged. It can be merged by anybody with write access, with basically a text that I want to write. But yeah, I want it in a written form because it's hard to discuss something from words. I think, yeah, it's better to have a feedback and discussion and having some draft. Yeah, but I want to keep it simple. And plus there is like some minor stuff I need to clarify, like you should not spend, like, if you don't want to, you should not spend too much time on what's the priority of reviewing. So spec RFC is like less priority than just JavaScript improvement. basically, because they're like big and they like follow the own procedure, like things like that. I don't think I can like figure out everything like on a VS Code. Yeah, and plus if we publish an issue and anybody have like better idea, or we have a discussion around something and or something not work in the future, we can always edit issue, especially since like all the reviewers have like triage role, so you can edit like issue. So I think, but at the same time you can see history, who made the what edits. I think it will work out. So answering your question, Uri, it's 1 week time frame, and mainly to like transcribe rules and write a text, and having people basically sign under it to become reviewer. Technically, we have like people agreed, but I want them to read the document and have a go on it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's hope to do it before the working group next week.
Yeah, I will try. Yeah, actually, it's like a working group is more than a week. It's a week. Yeah. Let's start it. If yeah, it should. I don't see any reason why not. One thing I need to prepare, like a talk from scratch for GraphQL Summit, so it will take some of my time, but I don't want to make this document big, so yeah.
Be fairly small, yeah. Very clear.
Yeah. One week is like totally enough.
Yeah, like 30 minutes on this document should be enough, right?
I think a little bit more because I want to think about corner cases and how I reference to spec stages and some details. But yes, some reasonable time.
Feel free to ping us if you want our help in the process or anything like that. We'll love to contribute and help, if anything, whatever you need.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks. And actually, like the whole idea came from a discussion on last working group. So yeah. Anything else on this topic from anyone? So yeah, I think we discussed it in details, and it was last topic on agenda. Anyone wants to raise any other issue beyond like reviewer team and 16.0 release?
Yeah, there was one issue, Yakov here, one issue that I wanted to just touch base with you. If this has gone on too long, you want to do it offline, that's totally fine. I was just curious again, I know we talked briefly about how the plan is to, at previous working groups, the plan is that the main branch for GraphQL.js will become the unstable branch. And then any changes there that are desired will be backported to like v16 or I guess even further. My question is, in terms of like any breaking changes necessary for incremental delivery with defer and stream to land, what the release cadence would be. Meaning because now that I think about it, we're hopefully going to cut v16, pretty soon. I would hope that now the sort of floodgates could sort of open up on getting incremental delivery out there as soon as possible, but that would probably require some breaking changes. So in theory, I would like to see that, roaring forward like in a couple of weeks even. But is that the plan?
Yeah. So idea is actually to do it, and it's also connected to velocity of the repo. One thing it's hard to figure out, even for a person familiar with code base, it's hard to figure out what's breaking, what's not. Because it's popular library, people use all kind of weird hacks or stuff. So with pressure of understanding what's breaking and what's not, I think it's hard to manage with automatic release and people like approving. People will not, like, basically idea is two people approve PR, it's get matched and it breaks something. It's bad and it's discouraging. So we will basically return to idea of somebody. So idea is to have unstable main, like a nightly, and issues solve itself is for example, Q can run PR pipeline and see if it breaks something or not. Idea is we have nightly. As about stream and defer, and like general idea, since we reference implementation, we kind of should go for a best outcome. So best like end result and figuring how to go there. Because like if people looking how to implement another languages, they should not look into like legacy stuff or hacks we added for not breaking compatibility with something. That's why idea of stable main. In case of stream defer, idea was we don't know can we edit breaking or not. So idea is to edit as fast as we can, maintaining one thing. It's experimental feature. It's not stage 2, so not all the corner cases figure out. So we edit it on main. We have people testing it as a nightly build, providing feedback, and we will see if it breaks something or not. If it breaks something, and we can do and feature stabilize, like features approved to be stage. I think stage 2, yeah, stage 2 is needed to be matched. So if a feature reaches stage 2 and we're sure it's like stable, we will start thinking about backporting. If we can do backporting without breaking things, we just go there. If it's required breaking change, we can do breaking change specifically for stream defer. I think people will be excited enough about stream defer to even handle like unexpected breaking change. Mm-hmm. So ideally to go on 16, backported on 16 or 15 if somebody volunteered to do it. If I cannot do it, it's like it can be like 17 with just stream and defer.
Okay, I think I understand. I just would point out that in the current defer stream branch that Rob and the team at First Dibs and others have worked on, there are breaking changes in the collect fields file, just because it's now collects fields and patches, and there's I guess semi-obviously breaking changes in terms of the types that are returned. So that's sort of like a TypeScript breaking change. So and my vote, not that it counts for much, but my vote is just that last option that you said. I think people would be pretty excited about incremental delivery, and You know, even if, you know, if they required another, you know, V17 fairly sooner than, you know, much sooner than the gap between V15 and V16, I think that would be great. And I think it's, you know, it just because we definitely have contributor a time crunch on many of the people involved. You know, even if it might be possible to make it non-breaking, I don't think that should be, you know, just again, my own personal opinion, I don't think that should be the first priority. But if it is possible, I guess, sure. But yeah, but I'm excited to hear that you're considering that second option too. Okay.
Yeah. So definitely, it's not like we need to wait like a year or something to get it. Ideal. But one thing to clarify expectation, it should be reach stage 2 in working group. So until it's reach stage 2 there, we cannot make something non-experimental. And another clarifying note, I will add, I don't want to add a bunch of flags everywhere, but I think validation rule preventing stream and defer directives to be executed by default is enough to like allow people running servers to make decision. Otherwise, like even on nightly, if somebody decides running stuff on nightly, they need to adhere to stream and defer being experimental. And about backporting and cutting release, it's only after stage 2 in spec release process. Did I answer your, like fully answer your question, Yakov, right? So I assume yes. Anything else we need to do? And sorry about this call taking too long. Anything else we need to discuss?
I think we're good.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. I think it was productive discussion, and we're starting to figure out a way forward and implementing like progress on many stuff. Like, so see you next time, and feel free to add like topics to agenda and add yourself into agenda if you want to participate in next call.
Great.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.